liver simply because it, again, reduces acid reflux. So again, my question is, can you turn, or how do you turn, ordinary water into an extraordinary purpose? One word, and I'm going to spell it out. S, simplify it. Keep it simple. Make it as simple as possible, especially if you're producing water or any kind of product for water. Like she was saying, the more simple it is, the better it is for people's usage. The letter O, optimize what you're doing. When we were going through the crisis in Houston last year, everything we did, we had to optimize it to another level in order to survive what we were experiencing at the time. A is amplify. I know this picture may be horrifying, but it's quite real. I'm back in Africa trying to pull children out of pigsties like this, trying to drink the water that is clearly not good for them. And the letter R is release. Releasing what you have to people that can benefit greatly from it. And I'm rushing, I'm not giving you the total thing. The word means sower. This is one of the best ways to, as a humanitarian, to help people, what am I down to, 3 minutes? To get through a crisis. So what's the solution? As I travel around the world, I call it Transformation of Nations, utilizing my Clear Water Initiative. This is a company I work with in Palestine. We have a device on mobile phones that allow people in developing nations to determine the water level simply by looking at their app on their phone. Finally, another solution is our solution, the Natural Action Technology, Standard Structured Water. Again, after the presentation, I'd like to show it to you and let you taste it. This is our device that I have here. It's a portable device that works beautifully in refugee camps, in homes. You simply put it under the faucet water. What comes out is mountain spring water. We use a double vortex that sort of emulates and mimics a stream. The taste is amazing. And I'm going to keep going. Thank you very much for your time, because I think I'm down to 1 minute. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the presentations. I guess it's more toward like household perspective when it comes to how to get clean water, rather than like dealing with the utility itself, which is totally different perspective from what we've heard like in the last couple of days. So I'll open the floor for discussions before we can conclude. Please.
Maybe I can ask the first question.
Yeah, please do.
How does it work? How does your system work?
I think it would be better if I show you that when I get you.
Okay, so this, are there any other questions? Please, go ahead.
Yes, thank you both, of course, for those detailed information. Most of them, for me, even I'm a waterman, it's the first time I see such details. Nina, I have a comment, it's not a question. In your description to the equipment, different equipment used to treat the water and make it better, you forgot maybe to add just one important element, which is which equipment need energy, which don't need. Because when talking about crisis, usually it's water crisis plus energy crisis, no electricity. Or if you are in rural areas, you have no electricity. So that will be a good addition just. Your Excellency Ambassador Ronnie, in your presentations, all those pictures that we had seen, can I consider this as commercial advertisement or something? When you talk about alkaline water, for example, solve any kind of water crisis?
Well, because I didn't have the kind of time that I really thought that I was going to have before I came here, the impression I was giving for the time that I would have to talk was not what I got. So I was not really able to explain that.
It's usually it's a 15-minute schedule
Okay,
for each
I get
presentation.
it
That's
now.
a standard in this
I get it
conference.
now, but initially I wasn't told that. So I'll answer your question when it concludes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much. It's a question for you. Nina is your name, is it? Yes. It's regarding this WHO study, because so I'm part of the Global Task Force Cholera Control with WHO. It's including WHO, of course, and they are currently having a research on water treatment at household level, and it's checking 30 products. On the 30 products, I think they kept only 18 products. Are we speaking of the same research? Because you say 2016, and the one I'm speaking of is not yet finalized.
Exactly, there have been 2 rounds so far, and the results are only published for round 1. That's the ones I had up there, and the other one that's just been done now, that's not out yet, so I couldn't put it on, but we are talking about the same research, yes.
Inside information.
First of all, I would like to thank the people, the respectable people in this room, and what they've been doing in the developing world is quite admirable. I'm from a different walks of life. We are an infrastructure rehabilitation company, but we do make pipes too. So one of the products we have enables making pipe on site in a very economical way. So particularly those that deal with water conveyance issues, I heard Mr. Rodgers mention that how expensive it could be to convey water from point A to point B. So in that regard, how much value do you see in such a system? If somebody goes out there, if they give them the know-how and the materials that they need to build a cheap pipe from wherever, and then maybe with an inexpensive pipe that would operate with a solar energy, basically. Do you see any potential for or any merit to such a system?
Well, I think it really depends on the specific circumstances. If we do have a long-term project going on, and if we do see the potential for a lasting solution where we are not talking about people on the move anymore, then that might of course be an option, but it really depends on how far is the distance to the next water supply possibility actually. So I think for several purposes there might be a market out there for such solutions, and it might be an option to implement maybe new projects where we're not talking about really long distances, but let's say in a range where you still are able to afford such a system. But there's no general answer to it, because if we're looking at refugee situations where people are still on the move, I'm not so sure, because it's not only putting the system out there, it's also maintaining it. And that's usually for at least, I mean, I only can say this for Germany, but maintenance of the piping systems, it's the main contribution to cost to our water supply system. So I think here, if we look into long-term, yes. And long-term also for rural areas, of course. But if we are looking at more short-term processes, then it's probably just still not really, because we need the people that actually put things out there. We need not really specialists, but we need trained people. And that will also be a real problem in such situations. So, biased.
Can I comment?
Yes.
Thanks so much for the insight. I would like to reiterate the 2 things that you mentioned. One is affordability. So our plan is not to take any money from the people out in the developing countries. I mean, if this ever comes to fruition, it would be sponsors, would be organizations like World Bank. The second one, the training and the know-how that is something we are able to provide. And we can mobilize and show people how to make the pipe. And after that, it's a bunch of boxes and a few gallons of adhesive material. They are all engineer stuff. And the training is pretty basic, so I certainly believe that can be figured out. And at that point, once they have the equipment and the materials, they will be pretty much independent. I mean, they can lay as much pipe as they want.
Any more questions? So thank you everybody, and thank you for our distinguished speakers. And we sorry about the audience. Part of it has to do with the weather change. They expect like some floods toward the south, so lots of people left right after lunch. Well, yeah, so it's much easier to go back to Amman rather than go to the other side of the country. So that was for us also. So thank you everybody.
Thank you.